Have you ever noticed how sometimes you wake up feeling exhausted before the day even begins? You sleep, you drink coffee, you try supplements, and still, your body feels heavy, your mind feels foggy, your motivation disappears by the afternoon. But what if the problem is not your age, your schedule, or even your stress? What if your body is simply missing a few foods that human beings once ate naturally almost every single day? Because the truth is, modern life gave us more convenience than ever before. But at the same time, it quietly removed many of the nutrients that helped people feel stable, focused, and physically alive. And the strange part? Some of the most powerful energy-supporting foods are not exotic at all. They are cheap, simple, and probably sitting in a grocery store near you right now. In this video, we're going to explore 7 daily foods that can completely change the way your body produces and sustains energy throughout the day. Now, before we begin, if you enjoy videos that combine ancient wisdom, modern science, and practical ways to feel better naturally, subscribe to the channel and stay with me until the end. There's a very high chance at least one of these foods will make you rethink what healthy energy actually means. And here's something most people never hear. Energy is not just about calories. It is created much deeper than the stomach. It depends on blood sugar stability, minerals, cellular hydration, gut health, oxygen flow, brain chemistry, and something called mitochondrial function, which is basically how your cells transform nutrients into usable energy. In other words, your body is not lazy. Sometimes it is simply underfed in the places that matter most. And once you understand that, food stops being just something to fill you up. It becomes information, fuel, communication with your body. So let's begin with one of the simplest and most powerful energy foods most people completely underestimate. Number 1. Oats. The slow-burning fuel your morning has been waiting for. Most people think oats are boring, something plain, basic, maybe even old-fashioned. But that is exactly why they are so underestimated. Because while flashy energy drinks promise instant stimulation, oats work in a completely different way. They do not force energy into your body. They help your body create energy steadily. And honestly, that difference changes everything. For centuries, oats were considered survival food in colder parts of Europe and rural farming communities. People working long physical days relied on them because they were filling, cheap, and incredibly sustaining. Not exciting, sustaining. And modern science now explains why. Oats are rich in something called beta-glucans, a type of soluble fiber that slows digestion and helps stabilize blood sugar levels. That matters more than most people realize, because one of the biggest causes of daily fatigue is not lack of food, but unstable energy production. You eat something sugary. Your blood sugar spikes. Your body releases insulin. Then a few hours later, you crash. That afternoon exhaustion? That brain fog? That sudden craving for more caffeine or sugar? Often it is not laziness, it is instability. Oats help reduce that roller coaster. And there is another layer most people never think about. Your gut bacteria actually feed on certain fibers found in oats. And healthier gut function is increasingly connected to better mood, mental clarity, and more stable energy throughout the day. In other words, oats are not just feeding you. They are feeding the systems that help create energy inside you. One of the easiest ways to use them is in the morning. A bowl of oats with chia seeds, cinnamon, berries, or yogurt can create a completely different type of morning compared to sugary cereals or processed breakfast foods. Some people even notice they feel calmer and more emotionally stable after switching to slower-burning breakfasts. Because energy is not only physical, it is emotional too. And here is the beautiful part. Oats do not create dramatic highs. They create endurance, the ability to keep going without constantly needing rescue from caffeine, sugar, or stimulants. Because real energy does not scream. Sometimes it whispers steadily through the entire day, and the next food may be one of the smallest things in your kitchen. Yet it can stretch your energy for hours in a way most people never expect. Number 2, chia seeds. The tiny seeds that stretch your energy for hours. At first glance, chia seeds do not look impressive. They are tiny, almost flavorless, easy to ignore. But for ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and the Mayans, chia was considered one of the ultimate endurance foods. In fact, historians believe warriors and messengers carried chia during long journeys because it helped sustain energy and hydration for extended periods of time. And when you understand what happens inside the body, that suddenly makes perfect sense. One of the most interesting things about chia seeds is their ability to absorb liquid. When mixed with water or yogurt, they expand into a gel-like texture, and that changes the speed at which your body digests and absorbs nutrients. Instead of a fast burst of energy followed by a crash, chia helps slow things down. Steadier digestion, steadier blood sugar, steadier energy. And that word matters more than people realize, steady, because many people are not truly lacking energy. They are trapped in cycles of spikes and crashes all day long. Coffee spike, crash, sugar spike, crash, snack, crash again. Eventually the body starts feeling like a battery that never fully charges. Chia helps interrupt that pattern. These small seeds are also rich in magnesium, omega-3 fats, fiber, and plant protein, nutrients deeply connected to muscle function, hydration, brain health, and energy metabolism. And magnesium is especially important here. Low magnesium levels are surprisingly common today and can contribute to fatigue, muscle weakness, poor sleep, tension, and even difficulty concentrating. Which means sometimes exhaustion is not about needing more motivation. Sometimes your body is literally missing the minerals required to produce energy efficiently. One of the easiest ways to use chia is by adding a spoonful to oatmeal, smoothies, yogurt, or even water with lemon. Some people make overnight chia pudding and notice they stay full and mentally stable for much longer during the day. And there is something strangely powerful about that feeling. Not being controlled by constant hunger, constant cravings, constant energy crashes. Because when your energy becomes more stable, your mind often becomes more stable too. And maybe that is the deeper lesson hidden inside foods like chia. Real energy is not the intense high that disappears after an hour. It is the quiet stability that allows your body to trust itself again. And wait until you see the next food, because it may be one of the most overlooked mineral sources in the modern diet. Number 3, pumpkin seeds, the mineral snack most tired people forget. It is almost funny how easily pumpkin seeds are ignored. People spend hundreds of dollars on energy supplements. While one of the richest natural mineral foods sits quietly on grocery store shelves in a small bag, most people walk right past. And the strange part is this: many cases of low energy are not caused by lack of calories at all. They are caused by lack of minerals. Because your body does not run on food alone, it runs on electrical communication. Muscles contract through minerals. Nerves fire through minerals. Cells produce energy through minerals. Without the right nutrients, even a full stomach can still leave you feeling drained. That is where pumpkin seeds become surprisingly powerful. For generations, seeds have symbolized strength, fertility, and endurance in many traditional cultures. Indigenous communities across the Americas consumed seeds regularly because they were dense, portable, and sustaining during long periods of physical work. Modern science now shows why. Pumpkin seeds are incredibly rich in magnesium, one of the most important minerals involved in energy production inside the body. In fact, magnesium helps activate hundreds of biochemical reactions related to muscles, nerves, recovery, sleep quality, and cellular energy. And yet, Many adults are deficient without realizing it. That constant tiredness, the muscle tension, the afternoon brain fog, the restless sleep. Sometimes the body is not asking for more stimulation. Sometimes it is asking for support. Pumpkin seeds also contain iron, zinc, healthy fats, antioxidants, and plant protein, a combination that supports oxygen transport, immune function, recovery, and stable stamina throughout the day. And unlike processed snacks that create quick highs and sudden crashes, pumpkin seeds tend to create something much more valuable: sustained nourishment. One of the easiest ways to use them is to sprinkle them over oatmeal, yogurt, salads, soups, or even roasted vegetables. Some people carry a small handful as a snack during busy afternoons instead of reaching for sugary foods. And over time, many notice something subtle but important. Their energy starts feeling more grounded, more reliable, less fragile. Because real vitality is often built quietly, through small daily nutrients the body has been missing for years. And here is something worth remembering. When your minerals are low, even a full plate can leave you feeling empty. Now, the next food may not look exciting either. But for thousands of years, entire civilizations relied on it to build strength, stamina, and lasting energy from the inside out. Number 4, lentils. The ancient food that feeds your blood and stamina. Lentils may be one of the least glamorous foods ever created. They are not trendy. They are not expensive. And nobody posts dramatic photos of lentils on social media. But for thousands of years, human beings across the Mediterranean, India, the Middle East, and parts of South America relied on lentils as one of the most dependable energy foods on Earth. And honestly, dependable may be the exact word modern bodies need again, because today many people live trapped between extremes: extreme stimulation, extreme sugar, extreme crashes. But the body was never designed to run like that. It was designed for steady nourishment. And lentils do that beautifully. One reason is their combination of complex carbohydrates, plant protein, and fiber. Unlike ultra-processed foods that flood the bloodstream quickly, lentils digest slowly and help create a more stable release of energy over time. That means fewer spikes, fewer crashes, and often osteonum. Much more consistent stamina throughout the day. But there is another reason lentils matter so much: iron. Iron plays a critical role in helping your blood carry oxygen throughout the body. And when iron levels are low, many people experience fatigue, weakness, dizziness, poor focus, and the feeling that even small tasks require too much effort. It can feel like your body is constantly running on low battery mode. Lentils provide plant-based iron along with folate, magnesium, potassium, and important B vitamins involved in energy metabolism and nervous system function. And because they also contain fiber, they support gut health and help stabilize appetite, something many people notice immediately when they begin eating them regularly. You stay fuller longer, more balanced, less desperate for quick energy fixes. One of the simplest ways to use lentils is in soups, curries, grain bowls, salads, or combined with rice and vegetables. In many traditional cultures, lentils were not considered health food. They were simply normal food. Daily food. Food that allowed people to work, move, think, and survive difficult conditions with strength and endurance. And maybe there is something powerful hidden inside that simplicity, because modern culture often teaches us to search for energy in complicated solutions. But sometimes the body responds most deeply to foods that humans have trusted for centuries, foods that nourish slowly, steadily, completely. Lentils are not glamorous. They are reliable. And sometimes reliability is exactly what an exhausted body has been craving all along. But the next food changes energy in a completely different way. Because instead of feeding the body directly, it helps oxygen move through the body more efficiently. Number 5, beetroot, the root that helps oxygen reach your entire body. Most people look at beetroot and think of one thing: salad, nothing more. But over the last several years, this deep red root has quietly become one of the most researched natural foods connected to endurance, circulation, and physical energy. And the reason is fascinating, because sometimes fatigue is not only about food, sometimes it is about oxygen. Your muscles need oxygen. Your brain needs oxygen. Your cells need oxygen to transform nutrients into usable energy. And when circulation is inefficient, everything can start feeling heavier. Workouts feel harder. Focus becomes slower. Even normal daily movement can feel strangely exhausting. This is where beetroot becomes incredibly interesting. For centuries, beetroot was valued in different parts of Europe and the Middle East as a strengthening food connected to blood and vitality. But modern science discovered something traditional cultures could never fully explain. Beets are naturally rich in nitrates. Inside the body, those nitrates can be converted into something called nitric oxide, a compound that helps relax and widen blood vessels, improving blood flow and oxygen delivery throughout the body. In simple words, your body may use oxygen more efficiently, and that matters far more than most people realize. Studies have shown beetroot may help improve endurance, exercise performance, circulation, and even reduce the feeling of effort during physical activity, which is why many athletes now drink beet juice before training sessions or competitions. But this is not only about sports. Better circulation can also influence mental clarity, stamina, recovery, and the general feeling of vitality throughout the day. Some people describe it as feeling less heavy physically, less sluggish, more awake inside their body. One of the easiest ways to use beetroot is roasted with olive oil and herbs, blended into smoothies, added to salads, or consumed as fresh beet juice before exercise. And pairing it with vitamin C-rich foods like lemon or oranges may help support iron absorption too. But maybe the most beautiful thing about beetroot is the reminder it gives us. Energy is not only about stimulation. Sometimes it is about flow of blood, flow of oxygen, flow of nutrients through the body. Because when oxygen moves better through you, life itself can start feeling lighter again, and the next food may completely change how you think about carbohydrates. Because this one gives energy without creating the brutal crashes modern people know too well. Number 6. Sweet potatoes. The grounding carb that gives energy without the crash. Few foods have been misunderstood more than carbohydrates. For years, people were taught to fear them, avoid them, cut them out, treat them like the enemy. And yet, some of the healthiest and longest-living cultures in the world have traditionally eaten carbohydrate-rich foods every single day. The difference was not the existence of carbs, it was the type. Sweet potatoes are a perfect example of that distinction. For generations, they have been a foundational food in parts of Okinawa, South America, Africa, and many rural communities where physical endurance and long workdays were simply part of life. Not because sweet potatoes were trendy, but because they worked. Unlike highly processed carbohydrates that hit the bloodstream quickly and disappear just as fast, sweet potatoes digest more slowly and provide a steadier release of energy. That changes the entire experience inside the body. Instead of feeling wired and then exhausted, many people feel grounded, stable, sustained, and part of that comes from fiber. Sweet potatoes contain complex carbohydrates and fiber that help slow digestion and reduce the sharp spikes and crashes associated with sugary processed foods. But there is more happening beneath the surface. They are also rich in potassium, vitamin C, manganese, and beta-carotene, compounds connected to muscle function, hydration balance, immune health, and cellular protection. And potassium matters more than most people realize. Low potassium levels can contribute to fatigue, muscle weakness, poor recovery, and feelings of physical depletion, which means sometimes the body is not rejecting carbohydrates. It is starving for the right kind. One of the easiest ways to use sweet potatoes is baked or roasted with olive oil, sea salt, herbs, or paired with protein-rich foods like lentils, eggs, or beans. Some people even notice fewer cravings and more emotional stability when replacing processed snacks with slower-burning foods like sweet potatoes. Because blood sugar does not only affect the body, it affects mood, focus, patience, mental clarity. And maybe that is why traditional cultures often viewed grounding foods as deeply comforting, not just physically, emotionally too. Because the right carbohydrate does not steal your energy, it teaches your body how to hold energy more consistently. And now we arrive at the final food on this list, one of the most familiar foods on earth, but used in a way that completely changes how it affects the body. And once you understand why, you may never look at bananas the same way again. Number 7, green bananas, the forgotten energy food that feeds your body differently. Most people wait for bananas to become perfectly yellow before eating them. Soft, sweet, easy to digest. But something fascinating happens before that stage. When bananas are still green, they behave completely differently inside the body. And in many tropical regions across Latin America, Africa, and the Caribbean, green bananas have been consumed for generations, not simply as fruit, but as true sustaining food, food for workers, for endurance, for long-lasting fullness and energy. And modern science is finally starting to explain why. Green bananas are rich in something called resistant starch, and despite the name, this is actually a very interesting type of carbohydrate. Unlike rapidly digested starches that quickly turn into sugar, resistant starch moves more slowly through the digestive system and acts almost like food for beneficial gut bacteria. That changes everything, because your gut does far more than digest food. It helps regulate inflammation, blood sugar, mood, nutrient absorption, even energy production itself. In other words, a tired gut can quietly create a tired life. And many modern diets are incredibly poor in the kinds of fibers that support a healthier microbiome. Green bananas help restore some of that missing support. They also provide potassium and vitamin B6, nutrients connected to muscle function, nervous system balance, hydration, and neurotransmitter production. But perhaps the most powerful effect is how stable they feel inside the body. People often describe fewer cravings, more consistent energy, less sudden hunger, less crashing after meals. And that makes sense, because when blood sugar becomes more stable, your body stops living in survival mode all day long. One of the most popular ways to use green bananas today is through green banana flour or green banana biomass, especially in smoothies, oatmeal, yogurt, soups, or even healthy baking recipes. In some cultures, cooked green bananas are eaten almost like potatoes or rice. Simple, grounding, satisfying. And maybe that is the surprising lesson hidden inside this entire video. Real energy rarely comes from extremes, not from another stimulant, not from another miracle drink, not from forcing the body harder every day. Sometimes energy begins when you return to foods human beings trusted long before modern exhaustion became normal. Foods that nourish slowly, deeply, consistently. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation comes from seeing familiar foods in a completely different way. And that realization changes far more than your diet. It changes your relationship with your own body. And when you step back and look at all 7 of these foods together, something important becomes clear. Real energy is usually not built through one dramatic change. It is built through small daily signals repeated consistently. A bowl of oats in the morning, a spoonful of chia, mineral-rich seeds, grounding carbohydrates, ancient foods that support blood flow, digestion, oxygen, and stability. Simple things. But the body responds to simple things more deeply than modern culture likes to admit, because somewhere along the way people started believing energy had to come from stimulation. More caffeine, more sugar, more supplements, more intensity. But stimulation is not the same as vitality. One is borrowed energy. The other is created energy, and your body knows the difference. That afternoon crash, that brain fog, that constant feeling of running on low battery, those may not be personal failures at all. They may simply be messages. Messages that your body has been undernourished in the places that matter most. And maybe the most beautiful part is this. Many of the foods that help restore energy are not rare, not expensive, not hidden in some secret wellness trend. They have been around humanity for centuries. You just were not taught to look at them this way. Because energy is not something you chase forever. It is something you rebuild, slowly, patiently, meal by meal. So now I want to ask you something. Which of these foods surprised you the most? And which one are you going to start adding to your routine first? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more videos about simple foods, forgotten nutrition, and natural ways to help the body feel stronger, clearer, and more alive again. Because your body has been speaking through fatigue for a long time, maybe now you finally know how to answer.